All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Wire Sports Media. I'm here with another one. So I found something pretty evident today. Actually, it's something that we already knew. We already knew this. We already knew this, especially when it came down to Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. So, and thank God for Sophie Cunningham. I think her being on this team this year really shed a light on a lot of things. And she pretty much said things that we already expected to be saying and everything like that. So I think that with her, really putting this out here, it really shows because Caitlin even alluded to this when she was on Sue Bird about the offense in so many words, and people say, "Oh, she wasn't talking bad about Stephanie White's offense. She was just, saying this." And we understood this. We seen so many times that Stephanie White didn't want Caitlin Clark to run her style of offense. But guess what? That had to change. It changed. Now, some people think it changed early in the season with Atlanta and um, Atlanta and I forgot the other team. But I said this too. Y'all might remember me saying this. I said after Caitlin Clark went out and we thought she was coming back before they had announced her being out for the season. I said that the offense looked different. It ran faster. You got away from when Ari McDonald got hurt. Before I think after Sophie got hurt, and they got all the other Shea Petty and all of them, if you look at the last few games down the line, this offense started to real fast. It started running the Caitlin Clark offense. To me, I feel like if it didn't, that style of offense didn't translate it, this team would have never made the playoffs. It just wouldn't have never made the playoffs. And they kind of understood it. Now, I'm going to let y'all listen to Sophie Cunningham because I think that's why, to me, I feel like that's one of the critical things that people probably never really pay attention to is really the offense, how the offense looked differently. And a lot of people say, well, when Cece come back, she was going to do that. But Sophie Cunningham, she dropped some gems today to really make you really go back and start thinking a lot about this. So we're gonna jump on this real quick here.
He's the guy right now.
You saying that, I think that is so important that a lot of people do not understand that like everyone who gets drafted are really fucking great athletes. Really great athletes. But I think when you're at this level, you have to be able to adjust fast, and the system that you're drafted in and the situation you're drafted in will hands down make or break your career. And a lot of people don't understand that. But I really don't think a lot of people.
I want to chime in on that because we sat back and kept saying if Stephanie White does not allow Caitlin Clark to play the system that she accustomed to, it's going to ruin her. It's like you could some people could function in an offensive system. Like Paige, she could function in an offensive system, but she's not the system. Caitlin Clark is the system. That's like, I had used this analogy before. Tom Brady, he and Peyton Manning, same way. They left teams. They left their current team, Indianapolis and New England, with the Denver and Tampa Bay. And guess what? The offensive coordinator had to change the system to their system because the system they was running under did not work. We seen it last year with Christy Size and Caitlin Clark. She wanted to use that analogy, paint touch, get Leah Boston the ball down low, and it wasn't working because you had Nalissa Smith who could run, but she wasn't. She struggled in the hole, and the paint was too clogged. So what they had to do is switch out. In the second half of the season last year, we witnessed how the system took place. And I said this before, this is the only way Kelsey Mitchell's going to thrive with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston Lex. And we looked at it once Caitlin Clark was out, the first couple of games after she didn't come back, they were struggling. And you know, at that time they didn't even have a point guard because Sid and Ari McDonald got hurt. There was times early in the season when Caitlin Clark ran her system and Stephanie White didn't like it. But guess what? She ended up running the system anyway after Caitlin Clark didn't come back. So if you really look at it closely, that's how it is. So let's let Sophie cook some more.
Understand that, like, if you're in the wrong system, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're not going to be successful on that team.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Do you not think, though? Yes, I do think basketball allows individual players to take over, to like propel a team more so than one good player on a football team does.
True.
Whereas, like, no matter where, like, I would imagine a healthy Caitlin or like a healthy LeBron, wherever they go, that team will probably be above 500.
Yep. But
is that fair to say?
Yes, but I think that the reason behind that is because those types of athletes, they get to come into an organization, they have the green light, and they can do whatever they want. Where that is very rare to get drafted and be able to control.
But it didn't happen that way for Caitlin Clark. That they could do it. We seen it with Paige. She was able to do whatever she wanted to do when she came in the league. We didn't see it with Caitlin Clark because they tried to change her. Even Chrissy Sides tried to change Caitlin Clark last year and say, "Oh, we got to break her out of them habits. She got to take long twos instead of them long threes." Then you had Stephanie White come in trying to break her habits of not having a lot of fast breaks and throwing the ball outlet. So that's the fact of the matter is that they tried to change her and they seen that it doesn't help her because if she's your best player on the court, you got to allow her to do what she does best.
Control the whole system.
Right. Was CeCe making decisions like?
Yeah.
With it? Yeah.
As she should.
No way.
Like, as she should. But I also think that like
go
ahead.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that. She's just young. I just didn't think that. But
when you have a generational talent like that, she should have a lot to say of the system. I also think when you have like when she got in with Kelsey Mitchell, like those two, it is very interesting to see how that they have. It is interesting to see how they've grown to be teammates because both of them need the ball in their hands. But I think that they have played together enough that they both get that opportunity. And when they both can elevate each other, that team is unstoppable. You get what I'm saying?
Also, I guess you guys played at Iowa this year. Like, so what am I'm an idiot for not even thinking about that. But like,
that's huge.
I mean, yes, of course. We do have a little special sponsor friend.
So to me, this is how I view it, the whole thing. The Indiana Fever, if Caitlin Clark had came back and she was able to play in that same system that had changed, a lot of us doubt that Stephanie White was going to allow her to, even though she has a lot of say. We did see a lot of Caitlin Clark coaching on the sideline. We've seen her do a lot of coaching. She's in a huddle talking to her players. She's showing them. So she did a lot of coaching from the sideline. So sideline when she was hurt. So that made a whole lot of difference. If y'all go back to where Stephanie White was out them 2 games, guess what? Austin Kelly, that one game that they had, I think, that they won and everything like that. That was the offense was free flowing, and we was like, oh wow, we need to let them stay. But again, just like Sophie Cunningham said, when you have a generational talent like Caitlin Clark, you got to see what she's talking about. She comes from a system that benefits her. You cannot change her into what you want because it does not work. We've seen Stephanie White, not predecessors, but ex-players. Look the year Alyssa Thomas had. away from her, Stephanie White. Look at the year Veronica Burton had with the Golden State Valkyries because her coach allowed her to play her game. She doesn't change her. And this is all we kept trying to get Stephanie White to understand. You cannot change Caitlin Clark into that slow motion offense. And it's crazy that Caitlin Clark had to literally just been more vocal to get the offense to change so this team could play the way they needed to, because this team wasn't playing that way. Now, I still don't like Natasha Howard having the ball in her hand. I still don't like a lot of people having the ball in their hand too much. I wish they had a true point guard that could run the team. I think if Caitlin Clark probably would rather had a Serena Sadell running a point guard where she could easily coach her up to do better things. Because Odyssey Sims is no true point guard. Kelsey Mitchell is no true point guard. We did see a lot of similarities, but it wasn't sustainable because Stephanie White continues to want everybody to have the ball in their hand, and you can't. Caitlin Clark has to have the ball in her hand to set up everybody. And when she got the ball in her hand, everybody has to play their position, just like they did the second half of the season and her rookie year. But when you don't allow her to do that, this team is not going to be successful. She's going to end up struggling because you want her to be something and she's not. You know what I'm saying? Chrissy Sides figured that out. I guarantee you, if Chrissy Sides was coaching this team this year, and Caitlin Clark would have probably never been injured. I had to say that. And she probably would have been able to play the game she wanted to be. And Kelsey Mitchell, heck, you probably had Fall Stars NBA on there with Caitlin Clark, Kelsey, and Aaliyah Boston. That's just my public opinion. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, people say, well, you can't just change the offense for one player. Why not? If the player is a generational player. I just gave y'all two examples with football players. And plus, you look at it. Michael Jordan played his style. But guess what? His style worked better because he was able to play into a system. You know what I'm saying? So what he was playing before, it didn't work for him. Even though he was a generation talent, but he had to be playing a system to have his talent go a little bit higher. Caitlin Clark don't have to do that because she is the system. When you have a player that's genuinely this system, guess what? You have to allow that player to orchestrate everything. You don't have the band player, the drummer come up and lead the orchestra. You don't have the bass player coming up and lead the orchestra. The orchestra is the one to get everybody one accord, and that's Caitlin Clark. Like, comment, subscribe. Until the next episode, you know what it is. It's Takeover Tuesday, baby.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire. It's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it. So official, like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying.